The original formational moment for Vintage, I was youth pastor and I was with Pastor Gary, and definitely had a desire to, at that time I was young, had a desire to lead. Felt like the Lord just was really clear, like your season is to be under authority, and I'll tell you when it's not. So for the next almost, I would say it was 12, 13 years, was under other men. When I moved here, I moved to take a job, moved to Loveland, and instantly fell in love with Fort Collins. I've never loved a city I've lived in my entire life. Fast forward to where I'm mid-30s, and I'm leading worship, and I feel like the Lord just said, hey, you're done at this church. I was down in Loveland. And I'd had a really good journey there and just felt like the Lord said, you're done. I went itinerant, started traveling, leading worship during that time. I got invited to go be part of another church in Texas. And the thing that was hardest for me was I had this ache of leaving Fort Collins. I ended up on Pikes Peak, fasting and praying, and just was hammering it out with the Lord, and felt like the Lord said, if you want to go do this other church, you can, but it's not what I want. I want you to plant a church. And that's really where Vintage began. And we just put it on Facebook and said, hey, we're gonna plant a church, and this is what we feel like the Lord's called us to do. And for the first 10 to 12 years of Vintage, I had a really firm sense of grasp and direction. What's changed in the last season is I don't feel any responsibility to the direction of the church other than to respond to the Lord. One of the things that drove me early was this question: if Vintage dried up tomorrow, would anybody care? Would anybody in the city know we existed? It's still a question that's in the back of my mind all the time. To become a blessing to the region, to figure out a way to just make Fort Collins better because Vintage was here, not just because we're giving the gospel. That's wonderful, and we're gonna do that, but because we actually put boots on the ground to make it better.